let's have a conversation about this and other topics dealing with our national security right here on our South Florida anchor desk, live and in person. My old congressional colleague, Pete Hoekstra of Michigan. And Pete, we're joined from Newsmax Washington by another one of our friends, former Congressman Michael Patrick Flanagan. Mike, thanks for your time from the nation's capital. And
always happy to be with you, Chief. Hi, Pete.
Hey, good morning.
Let me tell you what, gents, before we get to your comments, one more slice of perspective from the administration. Dennis McDonough, the White House Chief of Staff, came out yesterday on the Sunday shows defending his boss. Let's take a listen.
But the government fell. I mean, the strategy obviously didn't work, at least. I mean, was this a surprise to U.S. officials? I don't remember any talk about this in the State of the Union message.
Oh, boy, we've been talking about Yemen for a long time, Bob. Going back to the earliest days of the administration, we were very focused on the counterterrorism efforts there because of the brutality and the nefariousness of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula.
Yeah, Mike, if I'm not mistaken, the president once held up Yemen as the example of American success in dealing with counterterrorism. What changed?
I don't know, whack-a-mole. Try and help me understand that. Excuse me, but isn't al-Qaeda the varsity team that we're supposed to be working on here? And the JV team, ISIS, we're not supposed to pay a whole lot of attention to? Yet his top priority in Yemen is not holding up the regime that's being helpful to us, is not wiping out al-Qaeda. His top priority is making sure that our people are safe, which is a political statement. If no one's killed, no one's watching. And this is problematic. This is defense while on offense. It's a broken strategy. It's a mess.
Pete, you often join us either from Michigan or Washington, but here you are on the anchor desk. Does your perspective really differ from that of Mike's about where this administration stands in terms of Yemen?
No, I mean, it was, 4 or 5 months ago that the president held this up as being, the success story that we would use in the rest of the Middle East. Use it in Syria. Obviously we don't have a success story in Libya. The president has not had a strategy to confront, contain, and ultimately defeat the threat from ISIS, ISIL, radical Islamists.
And it is interesting because even those in the so-called dominant media culture seem to be catching on to this. Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic reacted to the spread of terror in the Middle East, and he even says there's an even larger problem. Let's listen to what he had to say and get your reactions, gentlemen. Here it is.
There's the broader question here is that what we see over and over again in the greater Middle East is more and more countries are becoming ungoverned spaces. So we have a situation in which the president could be leaving office in January of 2017 with hundreds of thousands of square miles of the greater Middle East under the control of terrorists plotting against the West.
About 1:30 remains. Michael Patrick Flanagan, to you. Will this be the president's foreign policy legacy, opening up the Middle East to the new Islamic State?
I'll be brief because Peter is a lot smarter on these things than I am. But let me say that when you don't have a policy, you're going to have disaster behind you. The U.S. must lead the world in these matters, whether the world likes it all the time or not.
Well, let's turn to Pete Hoekstra. You got that nice compliment from Brother
yeah.
Flanagan. We got about a minute. Your take.
Well, it's kind of like finally the mainstream media is waking up. I mean, we have now lost Yemen, but it was a few years ago that we lost Libya, which is, northern part of Africa. It provides easy access from Libya into southern Europe. We're in the process of losing Syria, lost large parts of Iraq. The chaos in other parts of Africa, finally the mainstream media is waking up that there is no strategy and we are starting to lose ground and radical jihadists have the momentum.
Well, a very sobering note. Gentlemen, as always, we appreciate your time. Michael Patrick Flanagan from Newsmax Washington, sir. Till later, we bring you back in. We look forward to visiting with you again in the not-too-distant future. Pete Hoekstra, we're going to keep you right here at our South Florida anchor desk. There is much more ahead as we assess what may be in store in terms of our national security, in terms of our foreign policy, as America's Forum continues here on Newsmax TV. We're back right after this.